And lo and behold, it's the doctor. And she just said, we have your pathology reports. Give me a call when you can. And that was pretty much when I knew. That was pretty much when I knew that it was not going to be good news. Okay, what is up, everybody? Welcome in. I'm Alexis Jade. If you guys are familiar with the Twitter Spaces that used to be a frequent occurrence, then you are familiar with a classic Alexis story time. And today is a classic Alexis story time. I have gotten some questions about, hey, Alexis, what is that? And I figured to address it once and for all. And also the fact that it is May, why not kill two birds with one stone? If you don't know what May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month. And this scar, as you've probably guessed, is from skin cancer. So today, I will be giving you guys my little story on how I got this little scar and how I got skin cancer. It was around this time last year, maybe a month or two shy, that I, myself, was diagnosed with stage 1B melanoma on my neck. Melanoma has stages, and it can be broken down based on how far it has spread. Melanoma is classified into 4 stages because of how much it spreads. And melanoma can spread very, 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 very quickly, which is why, besides the fact it can become malignant and spread everywhere, it also can happen like that, and it can go everywhere. So I was 1B, meaning it was a thick girl who spread a little bit, who got a little thicker, but she had not yet spread her cancer cells to my lymph nodes, which is a good thing. But also, keep in mind, I did not know this right away. All they knew is it was not stage 0, which meant it could have been stage 1A, stage 1B, or I could have been at stage 4. And that would have been very not good. I did not know yet what stage I was in when I got it because they had to do further testing. So just keep that in mind. So, how did I find out that I had skin cancer? Well, folks, here comes the story time. So, like I mentioned, I'm very, very freckly. All over my body. Everywhere. Every inch of my body. And I noticed, actually I didn't notice. I have freckles like all over my chest, my neck, everywhere. And nothing about a freckle that I had on where is now my scar on my neck seemed abnormal. Seemed like another freckle. I never noticed it. Never paid it much attention at all. And I don't have moles. Let me say that too. And that's only relevant because a lot of melanomas do kind of look like moles. And I don't have any moles. I have a lot of freckles, but I don't have moles. And this melanoma did not look like a mole. It looked like a freckle. It was flat like a freckle, and it looked like a freckle, which is honestly the freakiest part for me personally. So yeah, it looked like any other freckle, didn't think anything of it, didn't really notice it. And then just one day I was looking at pictures that I was going to post on Instagram or something like that, and I noticed that in the pictures of me, for some reason, that freckle on my neck was sticking out. And I just remember thinking to myself, I don't know why this is sticking out to me. Like, it just feels like I haven't noticed that freckle before. Because I don't know. Like, you look at yourself in the mirror and everything else, and just for some reason, it was kind of standing out to me. I don't really have an explanation for why. And so I was like, have I always had that? And so I decided to go look at pictures of myself from a year ago. So I scrolled all the way up in my camera roll and went to just roughly a year ago to find pictures of myself. And I realized I didn't have this freckle a year ago. And now, of course, you can grow new freckles. Freckles can become stronger, weaker, whatever. But it was pretty large and pretty dark, and I did not have it a year ago. And that was when I was like, that's odd. And I kind of texted some friends and stuff about it and some family, and I was like, is it weird? Have you noticed that I've had this before? And when my stepmom texted me back and said, no, call the doctor, I was like, okay, I guess it's time to call the doctor. And so I called my general doctor, not really thinking it was that big of a deal. It's probably being dramatic. It's probably a freckle. And I call my general doctor and they're like, can you just send us a picture of it and we'll see like what we need to do. So I'm like, sure. I take a few pictures, send it into the doctor. The nurse for my general doctor calls me back and is like, okay, we're sent the pictures to the doctor to look at. If you need to be referred to the dermatology clinic, then they will give you a call, but they are pretty backed up, so you probably won't get in for another 2 to 3 months. And I was like, all right, not a big deal. Still thinking, really wasn't anything. I get a call from the dermatology clinic and they say, we'd really like to see you. Can you come in next week? And that's when I was like, okay, so one, it needed to go to dermatology. And two, they told me they were booked out like 2-3 months and they just asked me to come in early next week. That was my first red flag of, okay, maybe this is something. And that's when I kind of started getting a little bit like, maybe I should look this up. And I started looking up the skin cancer types. All I knew is I did know the word melanoma and I knew that it just like wasn't good. And I looked at pictures of basal cell, squamous cell, and I was like, it just doesn't look like these. Like, it doesn't look like this. And I looked up melanoma and I was like, shit. And I remember telling my friend, I was like, I think it's melanoma. And she was like, no, it's not. It can't be. And she looked at the picture of my freckle. And I remember I was on the phone with her. And you know, your best friend, they tell you how it is. And I remember she just got quiet. And she was like, I really wanted to look at this and Google this and tell you that you were wrong, but I don't think you are. And that's when I was kind of like, holy hell, I might have melanoma. And of course, when you Google it, it's like most dangerous type of skin cancer, very aggressive. And I was like, whoa, hold on, what's happening? Some of the pictures, it didn't look like mine. So I was like, maybe it's not, maybe it's just a weird freckle that's just irregularly shaped and it's not that big of a deal because I also have a ton of freckles. Freckles aren't perfectly round. They're weirdly shaped all the time. So I was still staying optimistic about it. I go into the doctor's appointment. It is time to get this little guy looked at. I'm nervous. Okay, let's just go do this. Oh my God. And she looks at it, takes her fancy imaging thing that they have and scans my skin and looks at it, scans the rest of my skin, and is like, this one does look a little different than your other freckles, but I don't know yet if it's something we need to worry about. And she did like the zoom in scan thing that then would pop up on the computer. And it popped up on the computer and she was like, did they tell you today to prepare to get a biopsy? And I was like, no. And she was like, okay, I wasn't sure if we'd need one, but I really think we should do a biopsy. And the mood in the room kind of shifted a bit, and I kind of got the feeling that she wasn't super optimistic anymore after she saw the scan, after she saw the close-up of it. So they numb me up, do the biopsy, cut it off, and they basically tell me that they're going to send it to pathology and they'll let me know the results. About a week or two later, I can't exactly remember how long it took them, but it was definitely agonizing. And of course, when you're waiting for results to find out if you have like a cancer or not, it's 2 days feels like 2 weeks. So I honestly couldn't tell you, but it was definitely within 1 to 2 weeks. I don't think I found out any sooner than a week. And I was waiting for the results and I actually missed the phone call because it came past like the 5 p.m. normal office hours. And so I kind of was like, okay, like every day I was waiting for that phone call and nothing would come, and 5 o'clock hit and I was like, all right, I'm not getting anything this day. Started cooking dinner or whatever I was doing, and I look at my phone and I have a voicemail, and lo and behold, it's the doctor, and she just said, we have your pathology reports, give me a call when you can. And that was pretty much when I knew. That was pretty much when I knew that it was not going to be good news. And I called her back and she said that it is melanoma and that I will need to come in and there'll be some further testing to try to figure out what stage it's in. They think it's stage 1, but, without knowing for sure, they can't say. And then from there, it honestly was a whirlwind. Like, it all happened so quick. it was like all of a sudden I got a phone call from one nurse from like the surgery center who was like, okay, what time, or not even asking, just telling me day, time of your surgery. I'm like, okay. With melanoma, they work super quick because it spreads so quickly. So the sooner they can get to this, the better odds you have. And so then I'm getting phone calls for the blood center to come in to get my blood work done. Then I'm getting a call from the eye doctor because they need to check my eyeballs and they need to do tests to make sure there's no cancer in my eyeballs. Didn't even know that was a thing. All of a sudden, it was just a rush of phone calls and different appointments, and I honestly didn't even take that much time off work. But it all happened so fast. When you get these kind of calls, they just like, all of a sudden, it's just bam, 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 which is good because they're trying to save you. But like, yeah, it's a whirlwind and it happens super quick. So basically, I go in for the blood work. They're basically checking like elevated white blood cell counts and things like that, which of course mine always are because I have lupus. So I have elevated white blood cells. So that doesn't really help them that much, but they still run some tests and do some scans, things like that, biopsy a lymph node, do things, to make sure nothing's spread, whatever. And surgery day comes. And I guess I should say, by the time surgery day comes, remember in this time, I don't really know yet what stage it's in. I'm assuming it's stage 1 because of what they said, but like we didn't know yet if it had spread to lymph nodes. I didn't have any swollen lymph nodes, so that's partially why they were like, we think it's stage 1 and we're good. But, had to undergo further testing and make sure, which was also kind of scary because like, what if all of a sudden they come back and they're like, yeah, 3 lymph nodes, cancer. That's not good. Suddenly you go from thinking, it's stage 1, and then suddenly you're in stage 3. Luckily, it came back that it was stage 1B. We caught it just in time before it spread to any nearby lymph nodes. Yeah, so I got very lucky. We caught it early enough that it didn't spread to nearby lymph nodes yet, didn't spread to nearby organs yet, and I was able to go in for surgery and just remove the cancer. They cut me open, and what started as a tiny little spot on my neck has now turned into, I don't know. How long is this? Longer than my finger, I think. Wow. It's like the length and thickness almost of my finger. Scar across my neck. Post-surgery, it was like a decent recovery process. I wasn't allowed to really turn my head at all. I couldn't lift anything. I wasn't allowed to bend below the waist, lift anything for a few days after surgery, just because it was right where you move your neck, so it was very inconvenient because basically any too sharp of movements could have popped my stitches. I had internal and external stitches, and yeah, if you don't want a janky scar, the last thing you want to do is pop some stitches. So I think I had a gauze pad around my neck for probably 3 weeks. It took for the stitches to finally be ready to come out externally. The internal stitches took probably, I think it was 2 months to fully dissolve into my system, but you don't really see those. But the external stitches, I had to wait probably 3 weeks before they were ready to come out. So that entire time until the external were removed, I had to keep it covered. So I didn't get infected, which is also a big concern with lupus. So I was very, very careful with that. Which means I have to go slow, which is even more painful. There she is. Whew, that's a scar. That is a scar. Oh my God. Holy cannoli. Definitely noticeable. I knew it would be. But it's there. Unfortunately, genetics, having an autoimmune issue, they think might be tying into this. My scar formed a little irregularly. If you look at it, it's kind of hard to see on camera for listeners. You're not going to be able to see this, but it's raised. It is a thick boy. And it's sensitive. Unfortunately, I just got the short end of the stick, and my body forms scars weird. And it grew beyond the surgical site, thickness-wise, became raised and sensitive. There's not much they can do about it. I did, actually, a few months ago, went and got about 6 steroid injections into the scar, which hurt like a mother effer. It did help. It was actually even bigger before that, and the steroid injections definitely helped it. Yeah, beyond that, this is the scar I'm left with. She's a thick boy. She's gonna stay this way. She's not the prettiest thing to look at, but it is what it is. I'm alive, so we have that going for me. Yeah, that's pretty much the story of how I had melanoma and how I had the surgery and all the things. I go in for routine checkups. I was going in every 3 months, and I soon am now going in every 6 months. I'm pretty lucky that it was in a spot that's pretty noticeable on pictures and stuff, because if it would have been on my back or like the back of my neck or maybe even the back of my arm, somewhere I don't really see, I'd probably still have it and it would have spread and I would have had no idea that I had cancer. In pathology, when I got the surgery done after, if they came back and said cancer cells are still there, I would have had to go in for a second surgery. Luckily, that wasn't the case. Now it's just being cautious, going to your doctor's appointments, getting the checkups, and paying attention to myself. But that's pretty much all I can do. And that is the story of how I found out I had melanoma and my little melanoma journey. If anyone has their own experience with, skin cancer, melanoma, anything that you're comfortable sharing, I do love reading the comments and interacting with people, so please do share it if that's something you're comfortable with. If you guys like this video, so that it spreads to other people, raise more awareness, share the stories so more people make those doctor's appointments. I appreciate you all for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing if you're subscribed, and please do subscribe. As always, I hope you have a good rest of your day, week, night, whatever, wherever you're doing, whatever you're doing. I'm Alexis Jade. Thanks for watching. Bye.